Maybe someday, Nancy. I mean,
Okay.
we'll think about it. We'll meet about it and let you know.
No, I wasn't sure if there was something, that I was supposed to
No.
order that I missed. Can you get down now?
We are live. So thank you to everyone who is joining us today for the Inner Strength Empowerment Hour number 23. As you can see, we are wearing our Girl Gang shirts today. I want to welcome my coaches, Joanne and LT, and also our special guest, Nancy, today, who is one of our clients. So we are going to be talking about leaky gut today, or gut inflammation, and how that manifests in your life. A lot of people don't even realize that they have it, most people, I think. But before we go forward, I want to say a little bit about this company. This is called, LT got us these shirts, which are amazing. And the company is called Good Human, but it's spelled HYOUMAN. And they feature different stories from people around the United States, it seems. And this one has a tag that was talking about a program that was started for college students who have learning disabilities. And so that was very, very cool. So it looks like, I'm looking to see, you can go to my story at goodhuman.com, spelled the way I mentioned, which is GOODHYOUMAN.com, to read some of the different stories that they feature. This is super soft, awesome material also.
It is, it's really soft.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a yoga shirt for the weekend, or a little slouch shirt.
Like it's got this little thing at the bottom. It's really nice, and so you could be matchy like we are if you want to. Gina says, hello, ladies. Happy Friday from California. I hope it's nice in California, because in Ohio, at my house, it's 40 degrees. So, you just never know what's going to happen around here. We just try to go with the flow. Tomorrow's 64 though. So I am all about it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about leaky gut. This is basically, it's the basis of what I do. I a long time ago, before I got healthy, obviously, I was 60 pounds overweight. I had tendonitis and bursitis in all my joints. I had crazy high triglycerides and cholesterol. I was on meds and shots for my joint inflammation. My hormones were all over the place. I was having night sweats and, hot flashes, chronic fatigue. And there wasn't, no matter what kind of doctor they sent me to, there wasn't any answer. So I started doing my own research. And because I also had digestive problems, that's one of the areas I researched. And I landed on a plant-based diet. But what I found out way back then, so it's weird now because leaky gut is become this sort of, it's something that you hear about all the time. I see ads for it on Facebook. And of course, that could be because I'm saying leaky gut and my phone is monitoring me. But that's not something anybody was talking about back when I started talking about it. But what I realized was, the gut is the seat of everything. It's the seat of your immunity. It's also where your hormones are metabolized. And it is, when you have leaky gut syndrome, it's not just a digestion issue. It actually means that you are leaking toxins out into your system. And it can even lead to an autoimmune disease because your body starts attacking itself because these toxins are everywhere. So it's a serious issue, and it's something that is misunderstood. So what happens is, I'll just give a brief explanation, and then I want to get to Nancy because she has such a great story, and maybe she'll even show us her little dog is there somewhere. She had him a second ago. So, and I have McLovin here, and I could show him to you as well. But what happens with leaky gut is our diet is very acidic, especially the standard American diet. So the acid alkaline scale runs from 1 to 14. Okay. And 1 is the most acidic, 14 is the most alkaline. Your body wants to be on the alkaline side, somewhere around 7.4. And that is where you need to be for optimum health. And so to give you some reference, a person who has cancer, for instance, can have a blood pH that's thousands of times more acidic than someone who doesn't. So your body is always trying to stay in that balance. And yet, if you look at the acid alkaline scale, all of the vegetables and the fruits and raw nuts like almonds, things like that, everything is on the alkaline side. But the things we eat the most of, the processed foods, the meat, especially dairy is the most acidic, and all of the sugar, the coffee, the energy drinks, everything that we consume is on the acid side, and usually between 3 and 5, so very acidic. And so our bodies are just inundated with this acid, and it starts off just being an irritant to your stomach, and then it causes inflammation, which leads to that solid wall that's in your intestines becoming permeable. Okay, so that's when those toxins start to leak out, and then you have an inability to actually even process nutrients effectively. So that's when things start to go haywire. People start to see things like skin conditions, allergies, joint inflammation, because these toxins are, settling in your joints. They can, rashes, eczema, and then fertility issues, PCOS, endometriosis, because that's where your estrogen is actually metabolized in your gut. It's produced in your ovaries, but it's
Come on back, Lori. I know, frozen. I know.
Stuck.
She usually comes back though.
She does. Can you imagine how many people are using Zoom all over the world? It's no
My
wonder.
whole family is using it right now. So
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised I'm not frozen up.
I know. You think about all these signals crossing all over.
Mhm.
I had an expo 3 days this week, 9 to 12,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it was, we had almost 100 people on there.
On the Zoom at the expo. Oh my gosh. Tiny little squares all over the screen.
We had national speakers that came on, and it went really
Yeah.
well. Couple
Yeah.
glitches, but very, very minor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Somebody would have to moderate a group that big, wouldn't they?
yeah, my
Yeah.
realtor association did.
Yeah. And you think about all these kids, college kids on Zoom too. Well, and high school and elementary and all that too, like Joanne's are. Mine's in school, but they're not doing the remote right now because people are back. But my son's in college, and half of it was up to the professor, and half of them chose to do Zoom and half of them chose to meet in person.
sorry, you guys.
That's
Okay, there you are.
And we actually have a wind advisory here today, and I wonder if that's the problem. It is like that we have trees down, and it's really, really crazy here. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the last thing was that you heard.
Well, what was she saying, everybody? The
So-
leaky gut and all the different problems and how it settles in all the different
Okay.
areas.
All right. And then another thing that can happen besides, hormone issues, because your estrogen is actually produced in your ovaries, but metabolized in your gut, and also the thyroid, because your leptin that controls your thyroid is produced in your belly fat. So as you have more visceral belly fat, one of the problems that women come to me with most often is thyroid issues as well. So these are things that are, significant issues for everyone. So when people, because I was having these issues, and because everyone that I talked to, was having similar problems, this is what led me to investigate more what was happening with the gut. And so, that became the basis for my program is gut healing. And it also leads to an inability to lose weight, because if you're not processing your nutrients in your waste effectively, obviously that's going to affect how you lose weight. So that leads to people being You know, women will be like, I've been good. I've been really, really good for weeks and nothing's happening. And it's because your gut is not healed. Now, the other thing that happens is people, they start to hear a buzzword or buzz phrase like leaky gut, and they immediately run to Google and they start you know, what can I do? And the thing that immediately comes up is a ton of supplements.
Yes.
And that is, and so what I want you guys to understand today is that leaky gut is caused by your diet, and it cannot be healed with supplements if you're not changing your diet. It will naturally heal on its own with dietary changes. But if you are just making small changes in your diet and taking a ton of supplements, that is not the answer. So I have never met anyone in all of these years that I've been doing this who was able to really significantly affect their leaky gut with supplements. So I'm just telling you that now because it is a huge problem right now. And women, it's unfortunate because it's predatory. People are really, they changing, you know, they feel like changing my diet is really hard, but I can take these 10 pills a day or whatever, and they'll pay hundreds of dollars a month to do it and then not have the results that they want. So that is something to you know, be wary of. So today I want to talk about the results, though, that you can and you do have when you are doing this the right way. And by adopting a plant-based diet, you are more alkaline. So your body is, you have the fiber, you have the alkalinity, and all the things that your body has to keep moving, to keep going, and to really deliver the amount of nutrition to your body to really give you vibrant health. And it's also, because it's alkaline, is going to be naturally gut healing. So you're going to be able to start letting go of the weight, and you are going to be able to get relief from some of these symptoms because your body is more able to process the estrogen and the leptin and all these things. So I see people getting off their medications that they've been on for 20, 30 years all of the time. So, but without further ado, that's an explanation of leaky gut. And I want to introduce Nancy. Nancy is in my program. How long have you been with us, Nancy?
The last week of August.
Okay. All right. So that's probably maybe 7, 8 months, something like that. Okay. And she is a realtor from Massachusetts. And she's had some extraordinary results, as have many people in our program. But I wanted to talk to her today because specifically some of these things that she has gotten relief from. So tell us a little bit about your health when you first started the program, or before you started, I should say.
Oh my goodness. So my health really started declining. It goes in segments. So at 24, I was in a serious car accident and I broke left leg, right foot. You know, my sedentary lifestyle kind of started then. So I was still pretty young. So yeah, I got my mobility back eventually. In my early 30s, I started on infertility treatments. So that was my second wave of weight gain. And I was on infertility for about 8 to 9 years. So my body never really recovered from the initial weight gain of that and the hormones, et cetera. So then that brought me into about 40. And then that's when my arthritis started from the car accident when I was 24. So at 40, my right foot became severely arthritic. I have a condition called osteocystic disorder, which my bones actually look like Swiss cheese, but I still walked and, you know, just kind of pushed through it, but it progressively got worse and worse. And then the weight started packing on at that point. So up until from 40 to maybe 48, you know, I kind of stayed the same. At 48, 47-ish, I started to go into early menopause. And that just ruined my life. I had severe hot flashes at night sweats, and I would wake up almost every 2 to 3 hours. So that really prevented me from even functioning like a normal human being during the day. So from 47, 48-ish until last year, so I'll be 56 this year, so it's 54. So for a good 7, 8 years, I was miserable, absolutely miserable with the hot flashes, with weight gain due to, lack of sleep, lack of energy, lack of everything. And, at that point, digestive issues also set in, acid reflux set in. I couldn't sleep on my right side. I could only sleep on my left side, go to sleep because of the acid reflux.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have a list of issues that just progressively got worse up until last year.
yeah. And I remember when I spoke with you, one of the things you were most concerned about as well was family history.
Absolutely. I have horrible family history. My mom passed at 62. My dad was 15 years older than my mother, but he passed at 75, but he was in a nursing home for 5 years. My mom, she was a heavy smoker. So for many, many years, I justified, okay, we're all going to outlive our mother because she was a heavy smoker, and that just compounded all of her problems. But, the reality is my numbers weren't very good as well, my cholesterol, et cetera, due to a family history and just poor eating habits. So my mom got sick and in her late 50s, and she passed away at 62 after 2 years of serious dementia due to seizures, all sorts of compounding issues due to breast cancer, and then bypass surgery. I mean, both my parents had quadruple bypass surgeries. And so I felt I was doomed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma smoked as well, and I've talked about how I have that severe family history. So you would think that I would be safe from that as someone who's never smoked in my life, and yet at 35, my cholesterol was almost 300.
Yeah.
And so,
I have a letter on my desk from, I always had mystery chest pains, mystery gastric pains. Even my pancreas levels were high. I had gallbladder issues, all sorts of different issues. And I still have the letter on my desk from a cardiologist that I saw I was probably 49, 50. And it said if she doesn't change um, her life, she will end up like her parents. And that's what it says, that,
yeah.
that her family history won't escape her.
And yet I know that when you and I first talked, it was sort of like you weren't sure this was going to work. Did you feel like, how are you feeling at that time? Just like nothing's going to work for me? What had you tried, if anything?
Well, I kind of didn't try a lot. I did the gym. I did cutting, restricting calories, trying to portion out food, weighing crap. I mean, that's just not me. And it's just, I need it easy. And this
Too much.
was,
Yeah.
I, I wouldn't have followed I just didn't follow it because it was just too much work, too much to think about.
Right. Yeah. And I hear that a lot. And people think that this is a really difficult lifestyle to follow, but it really isn't.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. It's the easiest thing that you could possibly do.
yeah.
The food on it is delicious. Everything, it's amazing. It's amazing how easy it is to follow. And I never thought something could be this easy because
Right.
I didn't know about it.
Right. And also people are just so used to, I have women will be like, but how many net carbs are in this? And how many like macros do you need to count for that? And, are you don't weigh your food and you don't, and I'm like, no, you don't have to do any of that. So people are surprised at that's not the answer because we've been taught that over many years. So how quickly did you start to see results and what were they? Like, what were things you started to notice right away?
So initially, I noticed that my night sweats and hot flashes during the day decreased almost immediately. And I also suffered from headaches too. So that was a huge thing for me. I would wake up some mornings with a headache, just feeling crappy from not sleeping, from maybe what I ate, just all sorts of reasons. But I would wake up with a headache probably 3 or 4 mornings a week. So immediately I noticed my acid reflux. The acid reflux, it went away 100%. My night flashes, my night sweats started decreasing immediately, and the headache started decreasing immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, the weight's just a bonus of how
Right.
you actually feel physically.
That's what I hear all the time. And when you try to explain that, I think it's hard because as women, every woman who comes to me, almost the first thing that they say is, I've got to get this weight off. And we do feel that way.
Yeah.
And we feel that that is the main problem. And even when the weight comes off, though, because all of these other symptoms are resolved, you're like, yeah, the weight's great, but let me tell you about this other stuff
Mhm.
that
I
has
wanted
happened.
my life back.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't have a life. I thought that I was going to have the same fate as my parents,
Yeah.
my mom at 62. And, I was telling the girls earlier, I don't have children. So my dogs are my life. They ended up, after all my infertility, I got Wilson for almost 15 years ago, and he just made it okay. And I'm kind of happy I don't have kids now. But Wilson's 15 and Franklin's 13. And I honestly didn't think that I could survive a traumatic event. I mean, that's how crappy I felt every single day.
Right.
Every day. I felt like crap.
Feeling just hopeless
Yeah.
and out of control, I think, of your own life.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people last year, I watched a sibling, she lost 83 pounds with a different program. And she's a hiker. Her program was different. It wasn't bad. It was just different. And I tell people all the time that, COVID to me was a gift. I heard someone say that we are never going to have this opportunity again in our lives to do something that we've always needed to do or wanted to do. I can't remember the exact wording, but someone basically said, don't waste it. So I heard that early on, and it took me a few months to get, my butt in gear to actually do something. And 40, I think 41, 42 pounds later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I still have a long way to go, but I'm over halfway.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you look great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so how has this impacted your everyday life?
Oh my goodness. I think I just show up happier when I meet clients. I even walk in the grocery store differently. I walk in and out of the grocery store differently. I'm not wearing the bulky, heavy clothes. I'm happier. I feel better. I think I'm not as grouchy. Depends. Um, just happier in general.
Yeah.
And I also feel, one of the big things is I also feel like I want to share this with other people too.
Yeah. Mhm.
I had another agent call me this morning that I know, and I was on the elliptical. And she said, oh, good. I said, sorry, I'm out of breath. And she said, oh, good for you. And, we were talking, we hadn't talked in probably 6 months. She lives in another town and we've done deals together before. And I said, yeah, I went plant-based last year. And she goes, I did too. And so, we're going to make a plan to talk and share ideas. She went plant-based in October. So, and I had no idea. So I'm really excited I think she froze again.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she froze again.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. But you've been doing so great with your energy levels, walking those hills, doing the elliptical. Another big thing is getting to shop, and I know exactly what this is, getting to shop in the regular sizes instead of the plus sections.
Absolutely. I used to tell the joke, my ex-husband, every time we went to Lord and Taylor, used to sing the American Woman song to me. We're still friends and everything, but
Yeah.
it was, and I remember the Macy's up near us started carrying, years ago, it started carrying the Ralph Lauren brand. It's back when I cared about what I wore. And
Yeah.
you know, I was in my glory that, you know, they started carrying a better brand, you know, other than just, you know, tent stuff, as I would say. And,
Yeah,
you know, that
yeah.
didn't last for very long because there wasn't really a big demand for it.
Uh-huh.
But just,
But that's a non-scale victory that we talk about that's
Mhm.
outside of the scale, and that's energy level, and that's, you know, getting to shop for different sizes. And I remember one time I said a non-scale victory for me is I can actually see my collarbone again. It's like I actually have a collarbone. I
Yeah.
didn't know that I did, but I do.
yeah, yeah, I think I have mine somewhere over here.
It's kind of fun to see again,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back. Apparently,
That's
you guys can run the show without me by now.
We're
Anyway.
getting that wind on Sunday, so I'll let you know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but yeah, I heard what you guys are saying. I think that one of the first things that I noticed is I had shoulders. Like
Yeah.
I could see my muscles on the top of my shoulders instead of, I felt like, you know, kind of my arms were blobby.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's an amazing transformation that, of course, the weight is, we all want to get the weight off, and everyone wants to look better. And that's great. And you do, but it's the way that you feel every day. And that's what I tell people is looking better is, believe it or not going to be the thing that motivates you to keep going. It's going to be the way you feel.
Absolutely.
And feeling better every day. There's just no way to match that when you have the energy to get through your day. And that gives you mental and emotional energy too. You're just lighter and happier, and you look at things differently. So is there anything else that you want to say? I want to let you get on with your realtor duties today, but
You know, the support that we receive here is just, it's amazing. You can participate as much as, you know, as little or as much as you want. You know, I always want to participate more, but sometimes my schedule doesn't allow it. I never thought, first of all, I've never lost this much weight in my life. Maybe 20 pounds at the most. And then, you know, it went right back on. But, you know, I view it as my, you know, lifestyle now. It's the way I'm going to live my life for the rest of my life. I won't, if I go out to eat and I eat a couple pieces of bread or something like that, you just get right back on track, and you just make better choices the next time. Or it's something that doesn't require a lot of effort. And I never knew how easy, you know, losing weight could be. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, you eat your vegetables and, you know, mix in a couple of other things, and it's pretty simple. And, you know, we're a lot alike. I don't, in the wintertime in Boston, I don't, you know, I don't eat salads every day. You know, I like my food warm, and my choices are just, I have so many choices. They're just never ending. You can um, eat a variety of things, and it's really the easiest thing I've ever done.
yeah. And you said too, I know that your significant other does not eat this way at all. So you
Oh,
don't
no,
have
no,
to
not
have
at all.
other people on board.
No, and it's funny that you mentioned him, because he has the leaky gut tablets in the closet from the doctor, what's his name on TV? I can't think of his name, that has the infomercial about the leaky gut. The supplements are in the closet, and he never took them. So he wasted whatever it was, $60, $70. That was last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Either
it's a
people,
waste.
it's a lot to take that many supplements. It's hard on your body.
Oh,
Your body's not
absolutely.
designed to be taking all that, but so that alone is a commitment. But also, it'd be one thing if you took it and you were like, oh my God, my life's completely changed. But I never hear that from people. I never hear it. They're always just like, I spent this many thousands of dollars and it did not give me the result I wanted. So
yeah, I've had endoscopies. I've had all sorts of different, you know, gastric testing.
Yep.
And, you know, I even had the gastric doctor last year when I was getting prepped for a colonoscopy. You know, I had to meet with her before my colonoscopy. And she was talking about, well, you know, a plant-based diet can cause this and this and this and excess, whatever. And I'm like, what? It's been 3 weeks and I feel perfect almost. I'm like, hello.
Right. Well,
even the doctors don't realize
they
the
don't.
benefits.
Doctors are not, unfortunately, the vast majority are not trained in nutrition.
Yeah.
And they spend, 8 to 10 years getting educated, and most of them have somewhere between 48 and 72 hours in nutrition of all of that time. And so they just don't, it's just not, just like I wouldn't, if you needed a surgery, you're not going to come to me. I'm not going to be consulting with you on that about how to get that done. There's a lot of doctors out there that I feel shouldn't be giving nutrition advice because they're just not educated, and that's fine. But to give the advice when they don't know is damaging to people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Look
had
what
a woman.
hospitals- Oh, sorry, I was going to say, look what hospitals feed people when they get out of, surgeries and
Oh my
procedures.
God, it's
Mm.
horrendous. And I had a client who had PCOS and infertility, and I put her on my plan, and the cyst that she had, on her uterus and her ovaries, it completely went away within about 3 months. And this was something where she was in constant pain and all this. She went to her OBGYN, and they told her it wasn't because of diet. They're like, well, I don't know. It's just, you're probably just in remission for some reason, but it's, it wouldn't have anything to do with your diet. And so she stopped based on what her doctor said, and all of her symptoms came back. And that was 2 years ago. I have not, spoken with her, but I follow her on Facebook, and they're talking about doing IVF. And so it just is,
Mm.
it's unfortunate because I see this so much, that these problems it's one thing if you change your diet and you still don't get, the results that you want, then to go on to other things. Absolutely. There's nothing, I'm not, against medical intervention at all, but that, for that to be our go-to before we think about what we're putting in our bodies every day.
I forgot to tell you one of the most important things that happened last year. Do I still have time? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So back in, I think it was January. So I was looking for solutions for my night sweats and, for the 7-8 years that I suffered. So I found this place nearby that does hormone replacement therapy. So I went on the hormone replacements for, I think it was 2 months or 3 months. And so it was probably like December-ish. And then, they kept changing the levels and wanting to do this and wanting to do that. And I was doing my own research on the side. Well, I started literally hemorrhaging. Now, not after, I hadn't had a period in 7-8 years, but it was horrific. It was the worst thing I had ever seen ever in my life. And so I went to the gynecologist, and he did some, procedure. I had to, go in for surgery just as COVID started, but in March. But, I was looking for a solution to sleeping better and feeling better and in getting rid of my night sweats. And little did I know it was right in front of me the entire time. It took me for 5 months to find it, but I kept on going and I didn't give up. But
Right.
I was ready to pop hormone replace, progesterone and estrogen, whatever the heck it was. Now I can't even remember. But it was horrible
It is,
to me.
menopause is something, maybe we'll talk about that just alone next week, because it is such a crazy topic, because in other places in the world, it's not like this because they're not eating the way we are. It's celebrated in other places in the world. Women are like, yeah, thank God that part's over. Like, I'm moving on with my life, baby. But here it is a medical problem that requires intervention because of our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And I have women who aren't even having symptoms yet. And they're like, yeah, my doctor says I need to get tested to see if I'm in perimenopause so we can talk about medications. I'm like, why? If you're not having any symptoms, I mean, this is where it starts. And then if you are having symptoms, they're just take out your uterus. Just, this body part's giving you trouble. We don't know why. We're just going to take it out.
Yep.
And that never solves the problem. It always just makes things worse. I haven't had a woman come to me yet that's like, oh yeah, I'm really happy that I have my uterus taken out. I mean, it's crazy, the stuff that, and like you said, you're going for help and you ended up probably having to have an ablation because you're hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
And it because of this crap that is happening. And so it really is, you know, there's so many things that can be resolved with diet. And that's the hope that I want to give to everyone who's listening. You know, if you do it the right way, then you can get that relief. So
Absolutely.
so thank you so much again for coming on. We really appreciate you. And, you know, and obviously I wish you continued success, and you're an important part of our group. So we know that's going to happen. And then also, you know, if you're in Massachusetts and you need a realtor, Nancy Dowling is, what did you say?
In New Hampshire too. I live right on the New Hampshire border.
Okay. Massachusetts and New Hampshire, y'all.
Thank you.
And contact Nancy Dowling. So thanks again, Nancy.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we want to continue this discussion talking about the experiences that we have had, that y'all have had. Everybody knows the experiences I have had because I talk about that a lot. But people don't realize too that these are things like skin issues and allergies, because acidity produces two things: inflammation and mucus production. And so they don't realize that a lot of their allergies that it's being exacerbated, if not caused, by their diet. And also food allergies. You can, if this goes on for too long, you could start developing crazy food allergies to things that never even bothered you before. Chronic fatigue, obviously, depression and anxiety, because that is where your serotonin is made as well. Your serotonin is actually produced in your gut. About, they don't know the exact percentage, but it's most of it. It's 70 to 95%, which I always just thought it was produced in the brain. I just assumed, but it's not. And so all of these things can be happening, and you go to the doctor, and what happened in my case is they just start splitting up what doctors you're depressed and anxiety, we're either gonna, just let's send you to the psychologist over here. If you're having joint issues, you go to the rheumatologist. You have high cholesterol, so we're gonna send you to this cardiologist, and they start splitting it up instead of looking at the whole person and what is going on with you. So for you guys, which of those are all, and like I said, the thyroid as well as infertility. So what had you experienced in your past before you started the program?
I experienced almost everything on the list, and to the extreme where, I did the fertility treatments. I had chronic digestive issues to the point where I had my gallbladder removed because it was filled with stones, and I'm not sure if that's connected, but I'm sure it is because it's all in there.
Yeah.
So I had to have my gallbladder removed.
Gallbladder, I'll just say briefly about that. The gallbladder is, that is directly related to your diet. So if you have a fatty, like if you're doing a lot of fast food and things like that, that is usually what, that the gallbladder is directly affected, as well as your liver, which is why a lot of people get fatty liver.
Well, when they removed my gallbladder, he said it looked like a stuffed bag of marbles. It was so filled with stones. And so like, that was sort of like the beginning where I thought, okay, my digestive issues will get better now that I got that out of there, because it was causing so much pain. I couldn't even sit in a chair because the pain of having that in there, I couldn't bend over. It hurt so bad. And so I had chronic diarrhea. Like, honestly, I couldn't eat 2 bites of a meal without it just going completely right through. And I ended up one time getting so dehydrated because of it that I ended up in the hospital, and they were doing all kinds of scans and everything. And they're like, you have one portion of your intestines or whatever, where there's a huge inflammation, and we can't tell what it is, but it's colitis is what they called it on the thing. And they're like, so they wanted to do an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. But then years went by, and I just dealt with that for a long time.
So here you have all these digestive issues. Did they talk to you about diet?
No, never. Nobody ever talked to me about diet. And in conjunction with all those digestive issues that my primary care doctor knew about, I was also chronically anemic, like really, really low on so many supplements for that. And I had all the symptoms where that's when I went to him and said, I think I have lupus or MS or something, because my body was in so much pain, my joints, and the brain fog. I couldn't remember anything, and to the point where it was scary. So I had all these things going on at the same time, and nobody ever said, here, just change what you're eating. They're just like, here, go get an endoscopy, like a really invasive procedure.
It's amazing to me how, I mean, I have women talking to me all the time with IBS and all of these other severe digestive issues, diverticulitis, Crohn's, all these things. And they have never been talked to about diet. With their, the only thing their doctor has said to them is, if it bothers you, don't eat it. That's it. And it is just, I believe, just criminal.
Yeah.
Because eventually what happens is it gets so severe that you have to have part of your colon taken out. I mean, it's not like it just stays that way. Eventually you have to, you're going to be on a colostomy bag. That, and your doctor tells you that. So it is just unbelievable to me that, because a lot, what's sad is then by the time they get to me, they're saying things like, well, diet isn't going to change anything. I'm just sort of grasping at straws. My doctor already told me that wasn't going to make any difference. It's like, you have digestive issues, but you honestly think what you're eating is not affecting that at all.
Right.
That's where this is the society we're living in right now. It's like, did you guys ever watch Superman, and then there's Bizarro Superman? Bizarro Superman was the exact opposite of Superman. So it was like just this crazy, crazy world, like where it's like, how does that make any logical sense to anyone? I'm getting a ton of comments. Let me read these really quick. Tammy says, congestion was one of the first things that cleared up for me. I was a tissue queen every morning of my life, and now I rarely need a Kleenex. Yes. My allergies are almost completely gone. This is Susie. And they were terrible, especially in the spring and fall. I almost always ended up with prednisone and a prednisone shot a couple of times a year. I always had sinusitis and bronchitis twice a year. Okima says, you and Joanne know my story, but I have had a thyroidectomy, chronic fatigue, inability to lose weight, and now perimenopausal symptoms. And my doctor is recommending an ablation. No one, Sarah says, no one doctor has ever mentioned, not one doctor has ever recommended or mentioned diet to me. And Okima says, I do feel better since starting the plan. So it's, you know, there are so many things that this can affect. And, but if we only look at medical intervention, you're not going to get the answer. That's the thing, is that is a last resort, not a first resort, but that's where women go first. And so they don't really, then they just think, well, I'm going to try this over here to lose weight, but all this other stuff isn't related. And it is absolutely related.
And it's a wild goose chase they send you on, because of all the different doctors. I can't even tell you how many doctors I went to. I was going to an allergist immunologist. I was going to a neurologist for my vertigo and migraines. I was going to a gastroenterologist, all of these things. And they were all because of diet. I went to a fertility doctor for years. Everything. I was doing all these separate things, fixing none of it. And it was all because of what I was eating. Because now it's all gone.
Right. And then, so I had a client who was 27, who had been told before she even turned 20 by her doctor that she would never have kids because of her, you know, severe PCOS. And she had not ever had a period. She just had never had one. She didn't even know what it was like to have one. I remember her 6 months into the program contacting me and saying, I'm spotting. I don't know what to do. This has never happened before. Do you think it's okay? And 2 years later, she was pregnant and has a healthy baby now. So, I mean, it really, you have to be your own advocate. And so I hope that is something that women are getting from the Inner Strength Empowerment Hour. That's really important, is that you have to advocate for yourself. You have to do your own research, and you have to take control of your health. What about you, LT? I know you had a lot of symptoms as well.
I did. Menopausal symptoms for sure. The night sweats, the hot flashes. I also had some joint problems, specifically in my knee, that has now gone away. I definitely had skin issues. I had that rash under my arm for over 10 years that nobody could figure out what to do. But in addition to that skin issue, I also had a lot of cysts. They would call them sebaceous cysts, but sometimes they were just a little bit different, but it was a tender, hard, tight knot that had to be removed. So there is no telling how many cysts I've had removed under my arm, on my scalp, on my back. I mean, it would be in the dozens over the years, and no one has ever mentioned to me anything about diet. And I just made that correlation not long ago that, you know what, I have not had any of these cysts removed now in a year. Which, guess what, is how long I've been eating a plant-based diet. So, you've got that going on. In addition to, I always had a bent towards depression because I had such severe postpartum depression when my son was born almost 22 years ago. So I've always had to keep that in check. I feel like that has totally been lifted and alleviated. I have a lightness of spirit about me. I'm just not bent towards thinking about that way. My whole thought pattern has changed. And I totally attribute it to eating a plant-based diet. In addition to my energy levels, my endurance levels, I'm doing way more on my own exercise-wise and pushing myself further and liking it than I ever did before. And I was the one that had somebody standing that I paid right next to me to tell me what to do. I've had personal trainers for years, on and off. And, I don't need them anymore. And there's nothing against having a personal trainer. If you need one, that's fine. I never liked it. I'll just be honest with you. I never liked it. I just did it because I thought I needed to do it. So now I love what I'm doing. And I love what I'm doing on my own. I'm able to push myself. And I know that my diet, my exercise has not lost the weight for me. My nutrition has lost the weight for me. Because believe me, I tried to exercise my way out of a bad diet for years. And I wanted to cry in a corner when I figured out that wouldn't work. So every symptom that you just mentioned above, I have somehow touched on all of that. And like what we're saying, I have never been addressed as from a doctor of, let's look at your diet.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Right. And now, unfortunately, what's happening too is some people are having their doctor recommend something awful like keto. Keto was first developed for people with epilepsy. To stop seizures. It's not meant for everyone. And even if you go to the epilepsy.com website, you can read that is what it's for. That's what it was developed for. And that it's dangerous and that you need to do it under a doctor's supervision. And yet people are out here doing it and getting all kinds of issues because of it, in addition to the fact that you gain the weight back plus more. So it's just crazy, the stuff that is going on. And it's no wonder women are so freaking confused about this. And it does make you feel like there's no answer, or that, well, it's just me. I've tried this stuff and it doesn't work because I don't have the willpower. And it just makes you feel so hopeless. And when you're already not producing serotonin because your gut's unhealthy, and then you have that on top of that, it makes you feel overwhelmed and like this is a hole you can't get out of.
That's right. And when you have low energy and no endurance, you really don't even have the gumption to get up and want to try because you don't even feel like doing that.
Right.
So, I mean, you have a defeatist attitude from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And a lot of fear goes along with it. And when you have that level of fear of your health, like Nancy was saying, it was just like, she was so scared of what, she saw her parents go through, and she knew she was in the same boat. having to go to all these different doctors and still never solving anything, you just have like this umbrella of fear living over your, you know, over your head at all times. And when you have that kind of like mental weight over you, it's exasting. From the minute you wake up in the morning, you're like, okay, well, what's going to happen today?
Right. You're waiting for the
Is
shoe to
it?
drop.
Right.
You
Yeah.
live life waiting for the
You
shoe
do.
to drop.
Yep. And you wait, you know, like if somebody were to invite me to go out to lunch, I knew I couldn't eat while I was with them because I knew what was going to happen as soon as I took 2 bites of food. You know, it was like, it's mentally exhausting. And I think that leads to all the anxiety and depression. And, you know, I was having
Circular.
I was having panic attacks out of nowhere. And I
I
had
was
never
too,
had
yep.
that before. And I started a plant-based diet in July when everything all came full circle and I was at a really bad place. And I have not had another panic attack since I started the program.
And that's been so a year and a half.
A year and a half. And
Yeah.
I was having them multiple times a day. And it had gotten to a point where, you know, I don't know why, but it was all coming together. And
I was having heart palpitations. They're like, well, you need to be on a 24-hour heart monitor.
yep.
Like, just so it's just procedure upon procedure upon test upon test upon med and blah blah blah. And it doesn't, it'd be one thing if all those things had you feeling amazing, but you're not getting any better. What's happening in the United States is what we're doing is spending the last 20, we're living as long as we were before, but we're spending 20 or 30 years dying.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you want to live.
And wasting a lot of money.
Yes.
On all of these doctors. Every time you walk in the door, it's $80 just to walk in, and then whatever tests they order, and you never get a result.
And whatever meds they prescribe, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're too tired to cook.
Yeah.
You know, you end up doing all this takeout. And I mean, it just is
Yeah.
this. And then all of this is happening, and you think, well, but I got to get these 50 pounds off. So I'm going to go sign up for this. Yeah. This fad diet over here. I mean, it just is, you know, when people tell me that they don't have, you know, they'd be like, well, I don't know if I can afford that right now to work with you. I'm like, you've got to look at what you're already spending on staying sick. The amount of money you're spending to stay sick, I promise you, outweighs what you will spend to get well. And it is, so yeah, as Sarah says, I've had endometriosis and over the years, 8 miscarriages. I could scream wishing I knew how much a diet affects these things. It would have saved a lot of stress and heartache.
Sure.
So, and I hear that all the time. And I had, you know, several miscarriages myself. And my daughter has, and her diet is horrible. So these are the things that can happen, but, you know, both of you have said in other episodes how quickly you started feeling good. I mean, this is what happens with, you know, my program is designed to get your gut started on that healing path within the first 5 days. So it's amazing still to me because it's so fun, but to see women posting in the group, it's only been 5 days and I'm already getting relief from this and this.
Yep.
So that is, you know, you think because it's lifestyle change that it's not going to have the same dramatic results, but that's not true. You get the same dramatic results.
Yes.
But they're long-term now instead of this short-term thing that you can't sustain, like not eating any carbs or taking a ton of supplements or drinking 2 shakes a day or whatever the thing is. So Michelle says, I find that I don't tolerate bread very well anymore. I can't digest it, or maybe I never could and never noticed. I think that is a really good point because you don't realize how awful you feel until you start to feel better.
Yep. I had a stomach ache for 46 years of my life that I just thought that's how people felt. And then when that stomach ache went away, I was like, oh my God, you don't have to live like that. What?
We get used to living, we settle. We settle.
Yep.
And you do, when you start feeling good, you're like, oh my God. That's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like looking good is great. Everybody loves it. I'm not saying anything bad about looking good, but I can talk myself out of looking good every day of the week. I'll just be like, first of all, I don't give a damn if a man thinks I look good. And other, I'll just, like, I don't care.
Right, right.
That's not the same.
Yeah.
It is when you feel good,
Mhm.
it is different because I actually, the only fear I have now is would be ever feeling that way again. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh,
whoa,
absolutely.
I'm never going back to that.
No,
No, never.
no.
Yeah.
And when you feel that good, it totally exudes out of you. It lights up your eyes. It changes the way you talk, your speech, the way you enter a room. I mean, you're not even sedentary anymore. I know you still do exercise and all that kind of thing, but I'm talking about your day-to-day, just walking around life. You're bouncing. You're just,
Yeah.
you got to move. It's just, you want to move. Yeah.
Right. It just having energy. I used to feel like I had about 3 good hours a day
Yeah.
to get, and
Yep.
not even that good. They weren't even that good of hours, but they were functional hours.
Functional
where
hours, right?
I felt like if I can cram everything in there,
Yep.
then it, and also I didn't want, my kids were smaller then too, and I didn't want them to know how bad it was. So I would try to make that in a time where I had to do things with them or for them.
Yep.
Right.
And that was just such a defeating way to live, to every day be saying, do I have enough energy to do this?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be too irritable? Is it too long without eating? Is it because you have that hangry feeling all the time? I mean, so these are the things that you just can't put a price on, because
No.
it's these changes are about living.
Yeah, you cannot put a price tag on wanting to go to bed at night and being glad that the day's over. And you can't put a price tag. I mean, and now, it's like I look forward to getting up in the morning and it's my favorite thing, instead of having dread of, oh, here we have to go through this whole day again. You cannot put a price tag on that.
Yeah. And just feeling, for me, every night I was like, I'm going to do better tomorrow.
Yes,
Every
promising.
single night for years. And then you get up in the morning and the first thing you're thinking of is, what can I eat? And it's, we love our food now, but it's not the same as being addicted to your food. And
Right.
that's what the standard American diet produces. And that food is making us sick. It's making us heavy and it's making us sick. So, how are you seeing, so Nancy's coach has been LT. And as Nancy said, we have so much amazing support in the group. And I designed it that way because I knew how hard it was. I had to do it on my own. And I knew that most people are not going to be able to do that because it was a ton. I did it out of fear, because I seriously thought I was going to die if I didn't figure something out. And back then there wasn't anything. And there's really still isn't, because everything now is just, if you don't get the one-on-one, the hand holding that we provide. So are these types of results, what are you guys seeing with the clients, with the women that you're working with?
I'm seeing the same things that happen for me. And I get really excited when I see them happening for my clients, because I'm like, yep, you're on your way. You're on your way. Here it comes. You're going to be, you're going to be there real soon. And, I'm seeing the same exact things. I didn't know I could feel this good. I never knew that I could actually feel. And people who are actually even older than me saying, wow, I've lived 55 years and I never knew I could feel this good. I feel better than I did when I was 30. The hormonal issues going away. And it's super exciting when people tell you, I got my blood work back and now they either reduced or took me off of a medication. And I'm like,
yeah. We got one of those again this morning. I do. So every Friday we do non-scale victory day, where we talk about all the great things that are going on in our life and our health. And I had a person say this morning that she had been taken off her medication, and that just is, these medications have serious side effects, and so it's not only that you're getting better, and that you don't need the medication, it's that now you don't have to carry this huge burden of the side effects that come along with that medication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about-
Nancy has been a joy to coach. She has just been a delight to me because she has really embraced the program. She came very serious when she started and she wanted real change and she went after it and she got it. And I tell you, she's a great person. I've just loved her to death. But I see that with other people, they get so excited because they start thinking clearer in the beginning and they start to, their eyes get a little open and they think, oh my gosh. And the best part that I love is when they tell me that not only am I feeling better, but my bloat's gone and I'm not craving that sugar anymore. And I'm getting excited about water and eating my veggies and all that kind of stuff. They get excited about that. But what I love is they start thinking, you know, I do want to lose weight, but that's not my ultimate focus now. I really like this. I really think I'm changing for my health. And when they start making that this is for my health and the weight will follow. And then when weight does follow, because it does when you make those good choices, my favorite thing to tell them is, guess what? It just keeps getting better. And they're already thinking, oh my gosh, it's so good right now. And I'm like, it just gets better. And they love that part. And I love it too, because it still continues to get better for me. And I'm just, you know, 1 year in now and I'm seeing different things weekly I could tick off.
Right. And while both of you have seen changes at home with your families, neither one of your husbands is plant-based.
No.
And so that's just, I just want to keep saying that you don't, this isn't, you know, a lot of women think like, I have to get my whole family to do this.
Oh
and
gosh, no.
Not only is that a tall order, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first, but it's not necessary to be successful. Although I do see so many people's families making changes and getting on board, it's not necessary. So if you're sitting out there thinking, well, there's no way I can do this because, you know, my husband or my significant other is not going to do it, then don't worry about that part. So I want to talk about just briefly for the women who are watching this, who are interested in changing their lives. Just briefly talk about what the program is about, because I think it's different than anything out there. And I always just assume from what I say about it that people get what it is, and they don't, is what I found out. So I need to be really specific. So we work with you 4 months intensively. And I'm doing mindset work with you one-on-one, and then you have your coach very intensively for one-on-one. For those first 4 months, where they're reaching out to you, you can reach out to them anytime, and that is where that you really get that cemented into this lifestyle. The first 5 days is about getting control of your cravings, because a lot of people coming into this program, you know, I think all three of us can attest to the fact that you're just, you know, craving crazy amounts of salt or sugar or fat or whatever the thing is, and you cannot think clearly and just think about starting a healthy lifestyle when that's what your focus is. So those first 5 days, and it's not anything crazy. There's no pills. You don't fast. It's a combination of juices and delicious meals that you just, when you wake up on day 6, you feel like a normal person, like you have that monkey of food addiction off your back, and you are ready to move forward. So it's a 5-day cleanse, and you can even order the juices from me. Now that we have the plant-powered chef, you can make the juices. I give you the recipes, or you can order them from me to make it easier. And then for the next 3 days, you are eating super clean. There's no processed food, or very little. And we start getting you relief from the symptoms. So a lot of people start seeing symptom relief in the first 5 days, and you start seeing the scale move right away. But then those next 3 weeks, we really get you into this lifestyle, and you are allowing your gut to heal. And so that's when you start to see these things really start to happen. Like LT was saying, and Joanne as well, when they're coming to you saying like, I'm just feeling so much better. That's when you really start to see it. And we teach you how to, how to do this. And so this is a plan with no calorie counting. We don't cut carbs. We don't do macros. You're not weighing your food. This is all just about the ratios. And so it's a food exchange system where I just show you what is your plate supposed to look like. And you have tons of food to choose from. You can put it together however you want based on the exchanges that I give you, or you can use any of my quick meal ideas. I give you 67 recipes, as well as many others that I have online that you can use, either my recipes or other people's if they fit in, which they usually do. You can even do this if you go out, because it's a system that you can easily, if you go out to eat. The great thing about Nancy, believe it or not, is she said to me, so she's been on this for 8 months, she's lost 40 pounds. She said, I go out to eat all the time. And she said, I probably would have lost double, but I just go out to eat all the time because of my lifestyle. This is what my life is like. So you can do this regardless of what your lifestyle is like. And that's what we teach you how to do, whether you're a batch cooker, like Joanne, whether you like to do, meal service like LT, whether you just whip up quick meals on the fly like me, no matter what your lifestyle is like, in that first month, we're helping you figure this out, so that you can really start to cement this as your lifestyle. Then for the remaining 3 months of the program, you are learning how to indulge, because that's the other thing, is we don't know how to indulge. We go completely off the rails, and we fall down into a hole of binging that we think, just forget it. I'm going to start again next month or whatever, and this is a rinse and repeat that we do all the time. And we teach you how to get out of that, because you can absolutely indulge. There's a way to do it without going off the rails. And so we have an 80-20 rule that we use, and that has been really effective. And what it means is that you're able to stay healthy and keep losing weight, whether you're on a vacation or you have holidays, or just when life is throwing you a curveball, just when things are tough, you don't have to just abandon this, like you do with these other plans, where it's like you have to deprive yourself of calories, or you have to, not eat any carbs. I mean, when you are having a hard time, or when you are like on vacation or something, these things are going to go out the window. You don't have to do that with this plan. You can. And so that's what makes it so effective long-term, is it's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. And throughout the program, I'll work with you on mindset, both one-on-one, but through our group coaching as well, so that you feel in control and you're able to really achieve things in every part of your lives. And I know for you too, I want to say a little bit about that too, because the mindset work, when, like we said, and even with what Nancy was saying, you go through this process for years and years and years of not having any answers, and you start to feel so down on yourself. So, what has having that mindset work, in addition to getting healthy, how has the mindset work changed your everyday outlook in your life?
It's made me realize that, health needs to be your priority, number one. And making health a priority can seem overwhelming when you don't know how to set boundaries, when you don't know how to do things like forgive yourself, when you don't know how to get out of being overwhelmed. And putting health first when you have all that going on is kind of impossible. So having all of that on the side, in addition to changing your nutrition, it's like the perfect storm of good things, where it all comes together and you learn how to rework your life completely.
Right.
Yeah. And to sum it up for me very quickly, I have stopped becoming my worst critic. I am now my own best advocate. And that is, in a nutshell, what I've done. I used to berate myself, beat myself up. It always came from a level of hatred or thinking I'm a loser on something. And it has totally come to, I love myself enough to do this, and I'm making positive changes, and I'm doing it for me. And not only am I getting the results, but everybody in my immediate path is getting a better version of me. It is a win-win situation all the way around.
Yeah. And the thing about beating ourselves up is we think that that's accomplishing something at the time. Like, I need to get it together, you know, when
Yeah.
really what happens all the time when you're doing that is it results in self-sabotage.
Yes.
And so that's what we talk about in the mindset
Yeah.
work. It's how to stop being your own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And that, and when you really start coming from a place of love, that just opens all of this up for you.
Yeah.
And Emily says she's in our program, she's no longer craving sugar, which is huge.
That's
I mean,
big.
for me, like that was a big part of my life. It's just not being able to stop with the sugar. And now I can eat something sweet and be done with it and not be like, I used to eat a whole box of donuts or something like that. Like it just was controlling my life. And it was not only debilitating mentally, it was embarrassing. And so just to feel like to get control over those types of things is huge. But so my program is physician approved. I've helped, hundreds of women over the years. We have 200 women in our group right now, which is super exciting. We have women from all over the United States but also in other countries, which is very, very cool. And so in addition to the one-on-one support from someone in the program who has lost the weight doing this and knows exactly what they're doing and is trained, you have your own membership site with a ton of resources, everything that you need, and you have the group support. And we have the twice weekly coaching meetings. We have weigh-ins every week. We have non-scale victory. We have book club, 5Ks. You guys just saw the pictures of our 5Ks, which is really fun. You can walk. I mean, it's not a competition. It's just getting everybody out there. And this is just why it's so successful. And after that 4-month intensive, you still have access to all of that. It's a lifetime membership program with nothing more to pay. So the price of the program is under $1,600. I have different levels depending on where you are and what you feel you need. But it's just a small investment compared to what you're paying to stay sick. And to the joy of living your life to the fullest every day. And for all of us, because everyone in the group pretty much is around our age, is just going into this next stage of our lives, feeling like this is the end or beginning of the end. And now I'm old, but like, this is the best part of my life. This is the part I've been waiting for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you got the experience and the wisdom, and you've got the still young enough and you're still vital enough to really contribute and make it a great second act. I mean, it's a wonderful combination coming at just the right time, really.
It is, especially if you've been hiding for so long.
Oh gosh,
and making yourself small for so long, taking care of everybody else. And now that you feel better and you have the right mindset, I mean, it's just like the possibilities are endless now.
Yes.
Yeah, it just feels, this is, all of us feel like, okay, now I get why they say youth is wasted on the young, because but we feel that way now. I feel better now than I did in my 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Like, I think we have so much fun in our group.
We do.
Like, I'm serious. You guys will never get rid of me. I'm glad it's a lifetime membership.
It's a camaraderie. It's a friendship. It's a mutual respect. We understand where you came from. There's a lot of pretense is already gone because we're already in this boat together. So we already know where you're coming from.
Yeah. And it's support in this point of our lives. I feel like, even just last night when I was talking with you and a couple of the other coaches, like, I have 2 teenagers I have twins. Thank you, fertility treatments, that are turning 16 tomorrow. And let me tell you, it's been a couple of weeks around here that it's really not been a good time. And just, bouncing ideas off of the other women in the group who have either been there or in the same boat, or like, just getting that support at this point in your life when you're about to be empty nesters or you're still in the thick of it. It's just having a supportive community of other women who are there to go, hey, I've been there, I've done that. Come on, let's go. We'll get you through this. I mean, even just that, besides the nutrition part of it, is so helpful to help, to get you out of that overwhelmed feeling.
Yeah, and you're not alone.
Even for
I
the
remember-
coaches.
That's right, because even Joanne told me last night, she said, I'm just so glad you told me, because my daughter is 18-year-old daughter is about to drive me absolutely bananas. And so she just said, that makes me feel better. And I went, okay. But you know, it's just what it is. We're all kind of in the same boat together, and we can feed off of each other and support each other in that way. And it truly does make a difference when you're not alone in something.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, my son is 17, but I also have 2 adult daughters. And now, you know, it's, you know, there's always challenges. And
Always.
it's different talking to other women who are prioritizing their health during this time.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So it's not just that you're talking to other people who have kids, which is, you know, always great.
Right.
But it's you're talking to other women who are also prioritizing their health at this time. And that is just, that's so important to keep you, level headed, because these kids can throw you off your game.
Yep.
They can. And that's exactly the way we were handling it. We were talking about the boundaries that we set and what we will and won't allow and how we deal with things. And, you know, all of us would have handled something much differently before we were on this program, and it would have not been in our favor. But now we feel like that we are handling it better,
Mhm.
much
you know
better
what?
than we would have before.
And our kids are seeing it.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the other really cool thing about it. As much as there are seriously trying to kill us, and I sometimes just think that my kids are somehow conspiring, like, what can we do next? But
They are.
but they see me handling things differently.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have had them make comments about that and come
Mhm.
to me for advice in a way that they wouldn't have years ago. And so
Right.
it's definitely changed our relationship for the better.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, the community that we have is, there's nothing like it out there. And I cannot describe it to you in a way that really does it justice, to be
No.
honest, because there are other, obviously there's weight loss communities out there. So, but what we have going on in that group is so much different, and it's just no judgment and so much support, and
Very
it's-
uplifting.
and
Yeah.
it's lifetime. So you're not going to lose that. You're always going to have it.
Mhm.
And I had a client say that to me this week, who's been in the program. She maintained, I'm actually going to have her on the show. She had lost 40 pounds and maintained that all throughout COVID, even as a teacher. And she said to me, if you didn't have this as a lifetime program, I wouldn't have kept going. She's like, the fact that I kept doing it just to maintain was strictly because of this group, and I had this support.
Right.
And so, I mean, so there just is, there's nothing like it. So, so I'm always so excited to hear from people who are interested in changing their lives. So if you are a woman who would like to change your life with the Plant Power Revolution, then contact me. You can PM me. You just click on my profile there and send me a PM. Or either one of these coaches. You can send something to these coaches. They would love to talk to you as well. So leaky gut is a huge issue. It's the root of so many problems. And so if you think that that's you, we would love to help change your life. So thank you so much for joining us for episode 23. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye from the girl gang.
From the girl gang.